Okay.
I'm Jack Lanscale. I was a chiropractor for 32 and a half years. I went to UBC first, and then I went to chiropractic college for 4 years. My education along that line suited me possibly in more ways than one for adjusting to the fact that we have a cerebral palsy boy and a greater understanding of his concerns and so on. So when he was born, we realized that about 3 to 4% of children that are born have some form of abnormality. We did not take it as a negative situation. We took it as a fact that he was born to us because we were strong. We had a very fine marital union. We did not look for fault, who to blame. We put all of our efforts into advancing his well-being. And that involved even taking him to various parts of the United States and Canada for several types of treatments. Everything we ever did for him, whether it was the surgeons, the marvelous surgeons, or a naturopath that utilized an unusual technique through the nares to get him to talk. We were never hesitant to seek help for him as long as it was a legitimate practitioner. We never hesitated to worry about spending the money. All we wanted was an advancement of his condition to the maximum. Well, everything we did, first of all, we had him at home for 7 years, and then my wife could no longer carry him. We had this marvelous lady that's with us today, Lonnie, last name?
Bowers.
Lonnie Bowers, who helped us in the first 7 years of his time at home. She helped us through some of the stressful times. She's here today, which is just a marvelous situation. She's spending her time with Craig, and he's loving every minute of it.
So what did she bring to the situation?
What she brought to the situation was not only physical aid. She helped my wife with him in all respects. And the other thing is, my wife had some time to do other things and think about other things, because she had 2 other children and a big house. And it was a matter of, we had to have someone special. People like Lonnie, you don't just find. They have to come along, and you've got to be awfully lucky to have them. Because they don't do what they do from a job standpoint. They do it out of the love for these young people. So she brought that to us. But still, during a night, we had to get Craig into Woodlands. Woodlands facility, they didn't have much of a facility, but their staff was marvelous. They did everything for the kids that they could. Then he advanced to Sunny Hill, which was a rehab, was a hospital for the physically and mentally challenged. And he was there for a long time. And when he was 19 years of age, the rules are that they come out of Sunny Hill. They didn't have any other place for him. So the alternative would have been a rest home. You know, no, they're lovely at those places, they're marvelous, but no specific programs for Craig. So the directors of Sunny Hill, were after Doreen and I to get him placed somewhere. Now, when we went out to find places for him, it made our hearts ache to think that maybe this was it. So my wife started doing volunteer work for Grace McCarthy, the Minister of Human Resources. And Grace just was, she's a marvelous person, even today. She had her heart in the right place. Grace did everything in her power to address our needs. And of course, her cohort was the Minister of Health, and the 2 of them were more or less responsible for getting group homes together. Grace did all she could, but it takes time with government, you know that. So the months went by, the pressures increased. We were always trying our best to get these group homes going. finally, Grace McCarthy, after a period of time, we saw her all the time at meetings because we went to everything there was for these people. And finally, Grace said, "It's coming to pass." I said, "Well, when?" "Well, give it a month or two." So I gave it a month or two. We saw her again. And I said, "Well, you know, it's a month or two." He said, 2 weeks, the Minister of Health, can't remember his name, Minister of Health will be having a meeting. Go and ask him. So I went and waited for his lecture to be over. And then I went up to him and said by name, called him by name, and said, "You know, Grace said it's going to be a couple of weeks to talk to you. What's the situation?" He said, "Well, it has to come off within 2 weeks because my arm will no longer tolerate Grace yanking it up my back saying, 'Get those houses going now.'" 2 weeks later, he phones my office. "Jack, it's on. The financing's there. All you got to do is to get together with the powers that be that plan the situation and all. And as parents, you're going to have input." So we did that. We had 40 meetings. And you know, we arrived at the right conclusions because 20 years later, you read that, it's 20 years, he's been in this group home. And you don't have to have nurses or doctors running it. You just have these wonderful caregivers like Lonnie who love these people, and they do everything they can for them, all the extras. So our guy has a Cadillac system. And we have the doctors and the nurses on, you know, the Vancouver Resort Society has its own nurses. And then they have the private doctors. There isn't anything that our kids need that isn't taken care of. And if Doreen and I see some little thing that maybe the staff doesn't recognize as a concern, all we have to do is mention it. It doesn't even get to the directors of the Resort Society. It gets to the supervisor of our outfit, and it's good. It's done.
So these group homes are now available for whom?
Many, many, many group homes now.
Right.
This Vancouver Resort Society even has apartment blocks.
Right.
And they have expanded, so they're taking care of dozens and dozens of mentally and physically challenged, of many, many types of concerns. Many. So are we satisfied? I do everything in my power to let them know. Because my wife and I consider that this young man is a gift to us. He's never been a burden. He is a delight to us. So we do take every opportunity that we can to let these caregivers know, no matter what echelon they're in, whether it's the directors of Vancouver Resort Society or the wonderful people that take care of them day to day, we do everything in our power to let them know how much we appreciate them.
What are some things that encouraged you along the way, that gave you hope and the energy and perseverance?
Well, first of all, as I said, being in the business like I was, I had a greater understanding of his physical concerns and therefore emotional concerns. A very, very profound love. That's the most instigating factor, a profound love. And the other thing is an understanding of the needs of so many people that fell through the cracks, never had any help at all. Parents that were on the verge of mental collapse. Doreen and I were always strong. We never got to that level. So we were able to go the political route, whatever it took, we were able. And our health held up. We had incredible health all the way through. And the other thing is an incredible satisfaction in knowing that we were contributing to the well-being of not just our own son, but actually dozens and dozens of others, because we kind of led the way. No way were we mainly responsible for all of the wonderful people that contributed to what we have now, this Cadillac system. But at least we were the spark, the parental spark. And here we have a situation today, 20 years later, where we've got a household that we can bring our son to and have his caregiver, when he was 3 to 7 years old, be able to come to the house and show him all this wonderful love and attention that she did all those years ago. And then we watch her enjoying him to such a degree, and vice versa. That is worth $1 billion.